Hello and welcome once again to Baked Beans Garage, where I guess this is just the Volvo channel now. This is my 83 Volvo 245 wagon. That's the next project. Can't finish one at a time. Got some interesting plans for this one, but she got some issues. Let's get into it. And of course, the title of the video says 240. I know it's a 245. Everything before 85, if it was a wagon, it was a 245. Coupe's a 242. Sedan's a 244. But if you're searching for a 240. Anyways, being an 83, we got the good front end with the twin sealed beams. Terrible headlights, but they sure do look nice. Hard to find anymore. And of course, the second thing we notice is the Hood Rat Supreme livery. I don't know what's going on there. That's all going to go away anyways. All four wheels, we still have the original hubcaps and the beauty rings. That's nice. Let me know if you want those. Those aren't staying. As expected. Of course, vinyl seats, they don't hold up nearly as well as the cloth ones. I don't know why. All dried and shrunken and cracked out. As is the dash, because again, 240. Pretty ugly in here. That's just missing. Not sure where it went. Most noteworthy, we could see she's a stickulator. Of course, being an 83, we got the 4-speed with the electric overdrive. What's falling out there? That'll probably stay in the car. Very sloppy, and no reverse lockout. Nifty. That's all floppy. That's pretty cool. Clock. But we do have the Lego dash, so we can pop that out, get a bezel, and just fill that up with gauges so we can have all the parameters. Headliner is quite nice. Now being a 70s design, even a 60s design, this is just stretched vinyl. What clips in to the actual body all around there. So there's no pulling this down and covering it with something nice. So I think we're just going to leave that because it's mostly intact. Oh, that doesn't even latch at all. I have performed one bit of maintenance, which is put some new struts on there so they'll hold up. Don't know what that was. There's a bunch of stuff missing from up there. It's back here. And no 240 is complete without significant rust in the floor. Just like that one, we'll have a few episodes on fixing that up. So just like the vast majority of 240s, we got the old B230 2.3 inline single jingle 4-banger, commonly known as the Redblock. They call it that because the block is green. Now, I do want to see if this runs, because I would like to have this for a different project that we'll get to maybe in a couple years. And what's a 240 without an engine swap? We got all this room. And previous owner said, oh, it ran when parked. Of course it did. I do see someone snipped off the pressure feed to the fuel rail there. Nice and jagged. So I'm going to put a bubble flare on there and get just a gas can and a fuel pump, rig it into there, and see if it'll go. So it's set up in a way that's probably good enough. Got a cheapo rinky-dink fuel pump here. This is Jetronic, so it needs a high pressure fuel pump. That's like 100 PSI. I don't know. Put the MAF on because I had it. Put that elbow on so it blows the flames up away from the gas can when it shoots a fireball out that way. Just got some speaker wire to touch to the battery. We'll let that run for a little while to flush out all the stale gas, what's definitely in there. Notice someone put a new distributor cap on there. Maybe that's promising. We'll find out. There's oil in it, so I'm just going to give it a twist and see what happens. Wow, that runs like garbage, but it runs. Maybe I'll see if there's sparks at all 4 plugs. Past that, I'm probably not going to bother. Oh, so I found this. It's wiggly. Hope it's just loose. Oof, very much oil fouled, but not all crusty and full of garbage. I guess I'll just clean them up and tighten them and see if it runs any better. If it doesn't, I'm probably just going to give up there because this engine's going in mothballs anyway. I feel like the timing's way off. I'm just going to jam the distributor all the way in the other direction and see if it changes anything. Ah! Oh, it did change something. At least I know it makes compression. If you missed that, I broke the distributor cap off and I felt all the sparks go through my... Oh, I broke the whole arm off the distributor. That's pretty interesting. Well, that's close enough to a compression test for me to call this engine perfectly healthy. So now, time to pluck it out. I broke all that and the angry pixies went up my arm. But no matter, give me like 20 minutes. It's about the 4 12mm bolts and maybe a clutch cable, but that's it. So with all that junk out of the way, no crust is revealed yet. Plenty of grime. We'll get to that. Only minimal signage over here. Got the Home Depot spec exhaust repair with some kind of eyelet. I don't know. Back here, that's an M46, I believe, which is just... That bit is just a 4-speed, and then you got the electric overdrive back there, what the button on the shifter is for. I don't believe that'll be going back in, but we'll get to it. And I don't know how they got that harness in there from the factory, because that goes up, down. It goes through that hole and then snakes all over here. That was very annoying, but it's out without cutting anything. And back to the engine bay. Plenty of stuff that can go away. This car did have cruise control, but that uses a vacuum reference, so I don't think it's going to be able to work with the diesel. Of course, the diesel has a vacuum pump, but that works all different. Probably just going to get rid of it. Also, whatever that is thinking about in there won't be needed anymore. Big old washer reservoir for both front and rear windows. So I think I'm just going to knock some of this grime off in the meantime. We'll stick that in mothballs, and then I need to fetch the engine that's going in here. So here's the old half shed, half lawn tractor. Missing a few more bits on account of the project wagon in there. The only real thing that's changed, much like the 740, I went and put on a Bosch starter instead of the original Hitachi starter because it burnt up. It's sitting there all sad now. Same fuel cell, same residential spec electricals. Suppose we'll give this one a compression test too, just for uniformity. You know, let all my tire spaghetti out. Anyways, if it's good enough to do that, I think it's good enough for me. So let's get to plucking. And with the strawberry milkshake leaking out of it, that burnout probably helped that. Don't worry about it. We got the ZF22, very common 4-speed for European cars of the era. That's going to be going away. That's old, too slushy for my liking. I got an M47. We'll talk about it later. Onto the engine itself, it cleaned up a lot better than I expected, even though hopes were already pretty high. I can still see all the torque markings on the injection pump, and the block's still, well, mostly green. And all the aluminum, none of it's gone all white and milky. Well, not all of it. My point is, it looks a lot younger than roughly 40 years old, and that is also confirmed by here. We can see the edge of the head gasket. We got 3 notches there. That means that's a 1.6 millimeter gasket. That's the thickest one you can get, so I suspect that block has been decked sometime in the past. And given the rest of the state of the engine, we even got OEM Volkswagen Audi belts, front and rear. So I'm guessing this was properly rebuilt at not too many miles ago. So I'm still going to look inside, do some old man science we'll get to. Not without gripes, however. Right here at the edge of the front cover, we got some oil coming out of it, what stained my engine hoist. No big deal, this pan has to come off anyway to put the 240 pan on there. I'm going to look inside there. So of course we know, if your engine likes you, it's going to make glitter, but I would like to avoid that here. So here is a doohickey that I got from the doohickey store. I like to do this when I'm using a used engine, what with mystery history, and you know it's a good idea when it rhymes. And there's not much getting around making a mess, but don't worry, it only gets worse. And with the filter element cut out, we can harvest some of this paper here. And even just like this, you can get a fairly decent idea. Like if you see any whole rod bearings in here, that's bad news. But to get a better look-see, we can throw some of this in the vise, squeeze all the oil out, and really hook the peepers in. And remember, the oil flows from the outside in, so you're looking for chunks around the outside. And this is an exceptionally messy part, but it does look neat. And I have learned the fun way, especially with older filters. You don't want to hammer on them too hard or the paper will just fall apart. Now, of course, I've already forgotten which side was outside and which side was inside, but just looking at this preliminarily, I can't even see anything. Maybe a few tiny sparkles every, eighth pleat. You'll always have some of these little carbon deposits. You just want to try to smush it with your fingernail, and if it smushes, that's just some carbon. Obviously, you don't want to see big, long slivers of bearing material or chunks of lifter. That's obviously bad, but all those little black specks, that's normal for any motor. Yeah, this is exceptionally clean. Someone did a very nice job rebuilding that. That's the biggest speck I've found yet. I can't even tell if that's metal. It is not. That's a little piece of floor dry. Yeah, that's a solid engine. I'm quite pleased. So looking at the charts here, I think I'm ready to take off this tube of warm strawberry jam, chuck it in a river, and then put the engine on a stand, because there's still plenty of work to do on here before it goes in the car. Just going to take care of all the little maintenance bits like belts, glow plugs. Got to change the pan out. But yeah, I'll be going with one more gear and one more pedal than the 760 had, so that can go away. Got to peel away some of the trans-cooler lines and kick down linkage in the dipstick tube. You get to the torque converter bolts through the starter hole, for the unaware. That, of course, being that fancy new beefcake of a Bosch starter. So it's going to sit here and time out for a little while. I'm going to do a video just on the timing and all the servicings I'm going to do on that, so you don't have to wait a full hour to see how to time one of these. So we'll get to that. Still waiting on a few parts. And for the last big item that needs take-aparting, the fuel system. So I'm not sure how the earlier carbureted cars would be set up, but since this is Bosch Jetronic, we have a transfer pump in the tank back there, and then the high pressure pump inline here with a filter. Since the diesel, it has a vane pump and the injection pump, what sucks it from the tank. All this can go away. All we need to keep is the level sender in the back. So the transfer pump, this high pressure pump, and this filter will also go away because the filter will be up in the engine bay. But first things first, we'll drop that tank. I'm sure it's full of nice, disgusting varnish. Okay, so that was fresh in about probably 2003. Down here, fan of this setup, there's no straps what to fiddle with. It's just 2 bolts on either side. And of course the filler neck, can just rip that off. So this is only about 70% disgusting. Just be thankful you can't smell it. Could be worse. Anyway, there's the transfer pump that needs to go away. A very crispy pickup sock. Love that. The ring came off, nice and easy. Suck it, Northerners. So this is a bit of a holdover from earlier stuff. I could see the level sender resistive element is just a wire wound around a card. So very precise. Pretty much anything later, you're going to have a printed circus board there. Chunks still falling out. Yeah, crust factor brown. But that's where I'm going to leave it today because I have yet another parts car that I need the transmission from with another tank. I'm going to see which one's nicer and deal with that later. So for the rest of the swap, obviously, pretty easy swap. This engine kind of came in there just without a little tic-tac on the side. So for the rest of the swap, here's the stuff I have. That is a 240 diesel oil pan, flywheel, bell housing for a D24t, an M46. I have a 5-speed M47, I believe. I'll be bolting up to that, so I have 5 gears. Mounts from a diesel 240. I bought 2 clutches. I don't know, one of them might be right. I got the belts, still need the water pump and a few gaskets. But that leaves all the major taking aparting done, so it's going to be mostly throwing stuff back at the car in the next episodes. So as always, I do appreciate you watching. I do ask that you support the channel in any way you can. Like, subscribe, hit whatever buttons you can find down there below me. Leave me a comment about your hoopty project. I would love to hear about it. Anyways, I am Chinchilla, and this has been I Hope My Human Disguise is Working, and I'll see you next time.